President Biden is expected to announce new protections today for undocumented immigrants. It's a sharp contrast to the executive action he took earlier this month to clamp down on asylum seekers at the southern border. The new policy, dubbed Parole in Place, will create a path to citizenship for nearly 500,000 undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. Individuals must be married to a U.S. citizen and lived in the U.S. for at least a decade. 50,000 children of undocumented parents are also expected to qualify. Democrats and immigration advocates are applauding the move. However, Republican lawmakers have raised concerns that the policy may encourage illegal immigration. Joining us now to talk about it, former ICE Director Ron Vitiello. Welcome to you, as always, sir. Where are you on this program? Does it work? Does it make a difference?
Well, it'll make a difference in the people who are being affected by it, but it's also along the same lines of what President Obama did with the so-called Dreamers, the DACA program. They're putting people in a parole status who have essentially jumped the line. They're in the United States illegally, even though they have a pathway to be a resident alien or an immigrant in the United States. And so this has more to do with the electoral calendar than it does what's going on with regard to immigration law or what goes on at our border. We have the worst surge in the history of the United States on our southwest border, and the president is finding loopholes or exceeding his authority for parole, which is supposed to be used on an individualized basis to save people that are in a humanitarian need, or it's in the interest of the United States to allow them to come in the United States. That's not what this population is. These are people who are here illegally. And let's face it, they are not a target. You just saw your package there on ICRO going after fugitives and dangerous people that are also in the country illegally. No one's looking for these people. This is something that has to do more with the election than it has to do with protecting the border.
Does it also encourage immigration, as some Republicans would claim?
Yeah, that's the problem we have. Since the pendency of this president, we've encouraged people from all over the world to come now because 85% of the people that CBP encounters at the border, and that's just the encounters, are being released into the United States. This is another incentive for people that are here illegally to not comply with the law.
It seems like a tough battle to win for any president in this situation. Anything that President Biden does now is going to be criticized and called political. If there were one solution between now and November, what would you say you'd like to see done that would actually have an impact at the border in curbing what we're seeing cross?
And the incentives. Stop releasing every 85% of the people who come to the country illegally that will not qualify mostly for asylum, that will not show up for their immigration hearings that they're going to be years and years out, and that release incentive into the United States. If he does that tomorrow, this problem gets smaller. It allows the front line of DHS to do their job and exercise the authority that they have. And then maybe you have a willing partner on the other side of the aisle to fix the other systemic things that are wrong with our immigration law.
Are you optimistic that a fix is somewhere in compromise with Congress right now between now and the end of the year?
No, the president has shown no credibility on this issue. First, he said it was Trump's fault. Then he said it wasn't a problem. There's no crisis. The border is secure. Then it's everybody else's fault that they can't get a bill passed. So President Biden has no credibility on this issue, and he's not going to have a willing partner on the other side of the aisle because he's demonstrated that he's not going to comply with the law. This latest announcement of what they're going to do today is exactly in that category. It is authority he does not have, but he's pushing the envelope. He wants everybody to chase him to the courthouse because maybe by the time this thing gets implemented or heard in the courts, he won't be the president anymore.
Ron, I'm curious. We focus so often on the border, but we saw crime in big cities happening all across the country that are hundreds and hundreds of miles away from the border. Do you expect mayors and governors in some of these states far from the border to become louder between now and election time? And does that make a difference?
If they care about the people that they represent, if they want safe streets and safe communities and a good business climate, they will insist that Washington do more at the border. We have over 10 million people who are in the United States illegally. There was an announcement yesterday that ICE has 8 million people, or going toward 8 million people on the non-detained docket. What does that mean? That means those 8 million people have crossed the border illegally, contrary to U.S. law, and are in a city and town near you.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.